That deadbolt? It's a lie. It's a tiny piece of metal held into a piece of decorative wood by screws the size of your pinky nail. It's not security. It's a comfort blanket. When the lights are out for good, the first sound you'll hear is the crack of that thin wood splitting, and it will be the last sound you hear before everything changes. The paradox is that your home is not a fortress. It's a trap designed to make you feel safe while offering no real protection. But I am going to show you how to use simple physics, duct tape, and the junk in your garage to make them bleed for every single inch. The grand illusion. Why your secure home is a cardboard box. We build our lives inside these boxes of drywall and 2x4s, and we place all our faith in a single, tragically flawed mechanism. The strike plate. That's the metal rectangle your locks bolt slides into. In 99% of homes, this plate is attached only to the jamb or the trim, a thin, weak piece of pine, maybe an inch thick, that's just tacked on for aesthetics. It is not connected to the bones of your house. It's decorative. One solid kick, one desperate shove from a 180-pound man, and the force doesn't just open the door, it shatters the entire frame. The door, the lock, and the splintered trim all fly open as one useless unit. You'll hear the sharp snap of the pine, followed by the thud of the door hitting your interior wall, and the smell of drywall dust will fill the air. That is the moment your illusion of safety evaporates. The police aren't coming. Your Ring doorbell is a dead piece of plastic. You are the only security you have. And right now, you are secured by a lie. We are going to fix that, starting with the most obvious and catastrophic point of failure. Phase 1. Forging the first bastion, the doors. Forget the lock. The lock is fine. Focus on the frame. Your first mission is to find the longest, beefiest screws you own. Go to your garage, your junk drawer, that box from the deck project you never finished. You need 3-inch, preferably 4-inch, deck screws. Now, go to your front door and systematically remove the pathetic little 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch screws from both the hinges and, most importantly, the strike plate. You will be horrified at what you find. Replace them, every single one. Drive those new long screws deep. You need to feel them pass through the jamb, punch through the empty air of the gap, and then bite into the solid 2x4 king and jack studs that form the actual skeleton of your house. You'll feel the drill's torque change as it hits that dense wood. What you've just done is apply basic structural physics. You are no longer relying on weak pine. You've transferred the load. You've anchored your door not to the trim, but to the structure. Now, when force is applied, it's distributed across the entire structural integrity of the wall. They will break their shoulder or their boot before they break that frame. But you're not done. A smart attacker, or even just a lucky one, bypasses the lock entirely and attacks the hinges. If your hinges are on the outside, you have a catastrophic vulnerability. But even for inward swinging doors, they can use a hammer and a nail set to simply tap the hinge pins out. Pop, 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 and the entire door, still locked, just lifts right out of the frame. The counter is simple. On each hinge, remove one of the center screws. Then, drive a long screw in, but leave it sticking out by about 1/4 inch. Now, close the door. That screw head will seat itself into the opposite side of the frame. Or, even better, remove one screw from the jamb side and one directly opposite it on the door side, and drive a duplex nail or a small headless bolt into the hole on the door, letting it protrude. When you close the door, that bolt seats into the empty screw hole on the jamb. Now, even if they pop the pins, the door is physically interlocked. It cannot be pulled out. Now, let's create a secondary barricade for when you're inside. This is about angles and load distribution. A triangle is the strongest shape in engineering. Find a sturdy, straight-backed chair and wedge it under the handle. Grab a wooden dowel, a 2x4, a heavy-duty broomstick, even that floor lamp, and jam it at a 45-degree angle from the solid floor to the center of the door, just below the knob. The force of a push will now be directed harmlessly down into the floorboards, which are far stronger than the door itself. For your sliding glass door, which is an intruder's dream, the fix is primitive and perfect. That little latch is a joke, Most of these doors can be simply lifted up and out of their tracks. Your first step is to cut a piece of 2x4 or a simple broom handle to fit snugly in the floor track. It physically cannot slide. But go one step further. Drill a single hole at a downward angle, passing through the sliding frame and into the fixed frame behind it. Drop a long nail or a heavy bolt into it. Now the door is pinned. It's not just blocked, it's physically locked into its own structure. They can't slide it, and they can't lift it out. Phase 2. The psychology of deterrence. Before anyone even touches your newly hardened door, you want them to change their mind. You want them to look at your house and think, not this one, too much work, too much risk. Your goal is to make your house look like a bad investment. This is psychological warfare, and it's cheap. First, project an image of a significant, unpredictable threat. You don't need a dog. You just need the idea of a dog. Get a massive, dirty steel water bowl and leave it by the back door. Toss a half-chewed, thick rope toy in the yard. Get a beware of dog sign, preferably one that looks old and names a specific breed, like a German Shepherd or Rottweiler. Clip a heavy-gauge chain to a fence post, with the other end disappearing into the yard. To a looter, a dog is an organic, flesh-tearing alarm system that barks, bites, and is fundamentally unpredictable. They will almost always choose the house without the dog. Next, project presence. Leave a pair of large, muddy work boots on your front porch, size 13 if you can find them. A pair that looks like it belongs to someone who does hard, physical labor. Maybe leave a dirty work jacket on a hook by the door. This implies a large, physical occupant who is likely home, awake, and capable of violence. It doesn't matter if you're a 5'2" accountant. They don't know that. Then, create the illusion of active inhabitants. Leave a talk radio on, just loud enough to be heard near a door or window. Talk radio is critical. Music is just background noise. But the cadence of human conversation, especially multiple voices, implies people. It implies witnesses. It implies a group. And a group implies a fight they can't win. Finally, create the illusion of activity with light, but do it intelligently. Don't leave all your lights on. That just signals an empty, paranoid house. A beacon that screams, "We're gone," and "scared." A static, unchanging light is a sign of an empty home. Instead, use 1 or 2 simple outlet timers, but set them for random, short intervals. A light in an upstairs bedroom turns on for 10 minutes, then off. An hour later, the kitchen light clicks on for 20 minutes. This mimics human movement. It makes your house look alive, awake, and watchful. They want a dead, sleeping target. Add other signs of life. A kid's tricycle left in the driveway. This is a powerful one. It doesn't just imply an adult, it implies a parent. And a protective parent is one of the most dangerous, unpredictable, and violent creatures on Earth. You're not just a homeowner. You're a defender. You've just stacked the psychological deck against them before they've even set foot on your property. Phase 3. The transparent traps. Windows. Your windows are just pre-installed holes in your fortress. They offer zero security, only a view. They are designed to let light in, but they will also let them in. We are going to change that by making them a noisy, painful, and time-consuming nightmare. Grab your duct tape, as much as you have. You are going to apply it in a tight grid or asterisk pattern, covering the entire surface of every single ground floor window. This isn't just to look busy. You're fundamentally altering the physics of the glass. You're adding a layer of tensile strength and adhesion. Normally, a strike shatters the pane, and it falls cleanly out in large, manageable chunks. But the tapes, adhesive, and fabric backing hold those shards together. It doesn't shatter, it spider webs. It becomes a clinging, stubborn, razor-sharp puzzle. To get through, an intruder must now pull or push this jagged, sticky mess out of the way. This is slow. It is guaranteed to cut them, leaving DNA evidence. And most importantly, it is unbelievably loud. Every pull and crack of that glass isn't a single crash. It's a tearing, ripping, crackling ordeal that sounds like someone walking on a bed of broken chips. It's a massive, sustained alarm bell. But don't stop there. Make the window completely inaccessible from the inside. Shove your heaviest, most awkward furniture in front of it. That giant oak dresser? Pull the drawers out, fill them with books and canned goods, and then shove it back. You've just created a 500-pound immovable object. That unwieldy bookshelf. The old treadmill. Make it so that even if they get through the glass, they are met with a solid wall of your heaviest possessions. They will have to move it, creating a thunderous amount of noise and wasting precious time and energy. And always, under all circumstances, keep your curtains and blinds closed. Information is a weapon. If they can't see what's inside, they can't see what you have. They can't see where you are. They can't see if you're waiting for them on the other side with a baseball bat or a fire extinguisher. You are denying them all tactical information. If you have clear contact paper, the kind used for lining shelves, you have an improvised security film. Apply it meticulously to the entire inside surface of the glass. It will function like the duct tape, but it's invisible, holding all the shards together in one single, terrible sheet if the window is broken. Phase 4. The vulnerable underbelly, the garage. Your garage door is a traitor. It's a massive, weak barn door that you've conveniently connected to your home. Most automatic openers have an emergency release cord with a red handle, and this is its critical flaw. It can be defeated in less than 10 seconds. An intruder can use a simple wire coat hanger, snake it through the gap at the top of the door, hook that cord, and give it a firm pull. You'll hear a faint click. The door is now disengaged from the opener. It can be manually lifted, silently, giving them full access. They are now in your garage, surrounded by your tools, your hammers, your pry bars, your saws, which they will now use against you. And they are separated from your family by a single, often unlocked, thin interior door. The fix is immediate and vital. Take a heavy-duty zip tie, or several, and secure that emergency release handle tight to the track or its bracket. Make it immovable. You can still cut it or yank it free with your full body weight in a true fire emergency, but a flimsy coat hanger will no longer have the leverage to disengage it. Next, go to the ceiling and unplug the automatic opener unit from its power source. This has two benefits. It obviously prevents the door from being opened automatically, but it also prevents sophisticated thieves from using a code grabber device to clone your remote's signal. This forces them to attempt a manual physical breach. Finally, use your car as a massive, 2-ton physical block. Park it right up against the inside of the garage door. They might get the door disengaged, but they are not quietly moving a 4,000-pound vehicle out of the way. Phase 5. The outer ring of pain. Your defense should begin before they even reach the walls. The ground itself should be an alarm. Go to any garden or hardware store and get bags of cheap, crushed gravel or lava rock. Spread it liberally in the beds under every ground floor window and along any dark side paths. It is physically impossible to walk on this material quietly. Every single step is a loud, crunching, crackling announcement of their presence. It's the cheapest and most effective alarm system you can buy. Next, use biology against them. If you have rose bushes, pyracantha, barberry, or any other thorny plants, take the clippings and deliberately place them in the garden beds and dark areas beneath windows. This is biological razor wire. It will tear clothing, shred skin, and, most importantly, cause them to flinch and make noise. It also has a high chance of causing an infection. And in a world without antibiotics, a deep, dirty cut is a death sentence. Finally, create choke points and tripwires. Don't make it easy to move around your house. Use your patio furniture, your barbecue grill, your heavy planters, and arrange them to funnel any approach into a single, visible, noisy path right over the gravel you just laid. A simple garden hose or a clothesline, stretched taut about 6 inches off the ground across a dark path, is a perfect, simple tripwire that will send them sprawling, making noise, injuring them, and ruining their element of surprise. Phase 6. The Citadel. The final stand. You must assume that every layer can fail. Someone is motivated enough, or lucky enough, and they get inside. Your final layer is not to fight in the open. It's to buy time. You need a Citadel, a designated hard room. This is typically the master bedroom. Why? Because you are most likely to be there at your most vulnerable moment. At night. It also often has only one entry point, the hall, and may have an attached bathroom with water. This room's door must be treated just like your front door. Replace the hinge and strike plate screws with 3-inch monsters. Have a pre-planned barricade, like a heavy dresser or bookshelf, ready to be shoved in front of it. You should also have a commercial door security bar or a simple, heavy-duty wooden wedge to hammer under the door. Inside this room, you must have your essentials. This is your go bag for your own home. It must contain a fully charged phone and a large power bank. A powerful flashlight. A strobe function is best as it can blind and disorient an intruder. A basic first aid kit that must include a tourniquet, because you will not be waiting for an ambulance, and your chosen method of self-defense. A brilliant, non-lethal tool is a large fire extinguisher. It's a visual deterrent, and when deployed, it shoots a blinding, suffocating cloud of chemical fog that will choke an attacker and drive them from the room. Finally, you need a family plan. This must be non-negotiable. Create a code word, something innocuous you would never say by accident, like pineapple or red sky. When that word is spoken, every single family member, without question or hesitation, moves directly and silently to the Citadel. The last one unlocks and barricades the door. This isn't a bunker. It's a delaying position. The unspoken principle. Winning the risk equation. Look at what you've built. You haven't created an impenetrable bank vault. You don't need to. You have simply and brilliantly manipulated the predator's math. Intruders, looters, and criminals all operate on a simple, cold calculation. Risk versus reward. Your house, by default, was a low-risk, high-reward target. Not anymore. Every single thing you've done has added friction. The gravel adds the risk of noise. The taped glass adds the risk of injury and time. The long screws add the risk of failure and complete exhaustion. The fake dog adds the risk of chaos and violence. The timed lights add the risk of confrontation. There's a well-known concept in criminology that if an intruder can't get in within 3 minutes, they will move on. You've just made every single entry point a 10-minute, loud, painful, and bloody job. You've stacked the layers. No single layer is perfect, but together they create a cumulative effect of despair for the attacker. The sun is gone. The screaming down the street has started again. But they will not come to your house. They will look at the boots, hear the radio, see the reinforced frames, and they will move on to the softer, easier target next door. You've used physics and psychology to build a fortress from junk. You're not a target. You're a hard point. What's the one junk drawer item you think could be a game-changing security tool? Drop your most creative idea below.